in this first heat, Mimi Reneva has really struggled on this track in the past, but she's on a new sled and was able to put down a top 3 run, which I think she could be super stoked about. She had areas to still clean up, a little bit high in Kreisel, but she will be able to lay it down for that second heat and really try to stay in the medals, which would be an amazing result for her. In second, we have Suzanne. She has really stormed her way onto World Cup this year. Another great run by a German athlete. You can really see their experience on their home tracks. Altenberg is notoriously one of the trickiest tracks, and these 2 German athletes sitting 1-2 really showed the depth of their program. And unsurprisingly, leading the race by a large margin is Tina Hermann. She has been double world champion here, many World Cup results, and she, not the greatest starter, but boy did she have a good run down the track. Top speeds the whole way down the track and really ran away with this heat. She's over 6/10 in the lead. Just needs to hold on to the sled, have a great second run, and see what she can do.
That's it. And as we look at the top 7 athletes here, we say, Tina, over half a second ahead, with Kreia bringing up the rear. Mimi with a top 3 spot so far, so we want to be looking to hold on to that, keep Anna Fernstadt away. We saw a huge run from Janine Flock as well, coming into the top 7 there off a 21st start rank. Laura Dees squeaking into the top 10 there with Nicole Silveira, and Mystique Ro, the debutante, coming in at 11th with a top 2 push and a number 1 push after sadly Valentina bowed out. So 20-1 we go. We reverse the order, and there's Anna Fernstadt there, as I said earlier, someone with someone who's slightly deficient in the start, but what a driver.
Definitely. You can see the athletes warming up here. Because skeleton is a push start similar to bobsled, you got to make sure you're all warm, ready to go into that awkward bent over position of pushing your sled.
Absolutely, and you know what? It's, as a current competing athlete, I can really enjoy seeing those sorts of pictures. A non-slushy car park to warm up in. So it's amazing what you adapt to in this sport. I mean, I was a track and field athlete. You told me to warm up in a car park, I'd have told you you're mental, mate, and I'm going inside. So we get started with Kelly Delka from Puerto Rico, and going into from 20-1, as we said, before we get to the top 3, Mimi Reneva, Suzanne Kreia, and Tina Hermann, looking to continue her dominance of this heat. So Kelly Delka then, number 1 off here. She had a 17th fastest start in the first heat and managed to hold on to a top 20 position. And that's a tall order here. This is a tricky track, and she's still getting her experience, and we'll see what she's got in the tank now.
Definitely, and because she is a bit of a smaller nation, she will have different coaches for each track. You can see Joe Cicchini, the former Italian athlete, holding her sled at the start line.
And a 585 getaway. So
a couple hundred slower than her first heat.
I said a bit of a flop off there into she goes down straight into 3.
Yeah, a little bit of a wild top part of the track. Controls it well in 4. Just trying to bring it back online. Joe Cicchini, who was holding his sled, runs a program that coaches many different small nations. Nicole Silveira is one of them, Canada being a bigger nation, but he's also a coach of them too, which is a really great kind of bringing the skeleton crew together.
That was one of the amazing things about sliding sports. One of the things I love, definitely, is we have such a sense of community, because there is such a shared narrative going on here, certainly with the smaller nations. But at the end of the day, you're sending yourself down a mountain head first. It's dangerous, and there's a mutual respect there, I think, for everyone.
Definitely. 59.77, a whole second faster than her first heat.
Wow. Well, there you go. And now we're looking at track or ice conditions there, potentially, just a tidier run, because we were a couple hundreds down in the start.
Potentially. So she was 19th off in that first heat, and so with the track hold from Valentina, could potentially have gotten a little bit frostier, maybe a bit better run.
Okay, so
a little bit of a skid, but handles it well.
So how much of those little toe corrections, how much is that really affecting you? Is that ideally you don't want that, or sometimes is that just the necessary evil?
Ideally you don't want it, but it's the most effective steering. So especially when you start to lose your back end a little bit, go left and right, quick little toe taps will bring the sled back online.
Okay, and next up we have Agathe Bessard for France. Agathe had not too bad at first heat, some mistakes to fix up. She's got 8/10 in the bank here. So whether Delka's got enough in the tank to take a spot here will depend on the quality of Agathe's drive.
Loads onto the sled there, gets her hands tucked underneath her legs so she can hold onto her sled nice and tight.
And a little cleaner, a little tighter at the top.
Yeah, you see her toes tapping a little bit. You see her head moving left and right. With skeleton, you steer with your head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
She had a nice transition through 4 and 5.
Really, really nice transition. When you see the athlete's head moving left and right, it's kind of like a bit of a rudder. It's the least effective, but you can bring the sled to where you want it to go simply by looking.
Nice control through Kreisel, a little skiddy out through into 11 and 12. A nice whip around 13.
She's growing her lead now. She was 8/10 up now, 1.13 seconds up.
That's it. So she will be ahead of Delka at the line. How far, we'll see. With 1.3 seconds essentially at the line. Excellent. So good job from Agathe there.
Definitely. Much quicker run, 6/10 up from her first. Skeleton, unlike bobsled, does not have brakes. So we use our feet, we hit mattresses, or are simply an air brake to stop the sleds. Into Kreisel, nice controlled her first pressure really well. Great timing on that second and third. So even as she gets a little bit high on the exit, puts her into a nice line into corner 11.
That's nice. It's interesting you say that. I've actually, I'm one of the few bobsledders this year wearing the skeleton spikes with the toe caps on, and they're already peeling away. So I don't know quite how I've managed that because I do not break with my feet. Next up, we've got Jaclyn Narracott, the Olympic silver medalist, in slightly unfamiliar territory here. She's had an okay time this year. She's still nursing a few niggly injuries and just getting herself back into a happy vibe after 3 pretty stressful, pretty intense years with obviously that great success in Beijing last year. So really she's looking for a couple of consistent runs, couple of consistent weeks in Altenberg as she approaches the Maritz World Champs, where she's a great, shoe-in for a medal, really. She won gold last year.
Definitely. She's a phenomenal slider, especially on those more flowy tracks like Beijing and like St. Moritz. So it'll be really interesting to see what she does at the Worlds.
Absolutely. But she's dropped almost 1/10 of her, gone backwards in her start there. It's interesting. So again, I wonder if that's to do with potentially physical issues. And she's just squeaking to red numbers now.
Yeah, maybe on the start, potentially, there's something just going on that we're not aware of. But skeleton is really cool in that it's kind of separated into 3 different areas: your driving ability, your push start, and your equipment. So if you are lacking on the start, you can still bring back with the other 2 aspects.
Well, and that's what it's looking like here from Jack. She's getting herself back in the green numbers. And the 10th there, she's got #1 speed. Has she got enough in the tank to make sure Agathe doesn't move up?
It's been close here at the finish line.
700, there we go. So a good run from Jackie there. Again, she's not going to be overly enthused with it, but certainly not dropping spots is better than dropping them. So maybe some questions about the start, but other than that, there were some decent lines there.
Definitely. She was a bit confused, I think, after that first heat because it wasn't as quick as expected. We'll see how she feels after this one.
That's it.
Coming here into that big straightaway, a little bit of a skid. You can see those toes tapping behind her to make sure she goes on that slider's left side into Kreisel. Just sticking on 14, just a little bit too long, where she gets a little bit of a bump on that slider's left side. Skeleton sleds have bumpers as well, so ideally your arms aren't hitting the wall.
That's it. Next up, we've got Brogan Crowley for GB. Brogan there with Martins Duckers, new coach, who's been an excellent addition to the program. Really helped these guys out. Now Bro has had some body issues just coming up recently after some incredible starts and real booming results out in North America. So you can see just the start will be affected here. But 5:55, wow, that's a hell of a jump up. She must have had some paracetamol.
Yeah, almost 1/10 faster than her first start. She's come back from, I think, double ankle surgery as well, and is still one of the quickest starters on tour.
Definitely, and also I had a conversation with these guys, with Brogan and Marcus and Laura and Matt, the guys who at the Olympics, they just, they were just destroyed by their kit. And as someone who had that experience in Pyeongchang in 2018, I totally empathise with them. And the British program's done a really good job in recruiting well and keeping these athletes on board, because they are fantastic and they've proven it with their results this year. And if they'd been allowed to leave based off, and they would have been within their rights after a devastating Olympic performance, then they would never have known what success they have now. So whatever happens here for Brogan, she's definitely had a hell of a season so far. She just needs to get fit. Oh, she's nearly gone. And just drops behind Jack. Sorry, commentator's curse telling her how well she's doing.
No, but I think, especially for Brogan, I think their sights are probably set in 4 years. The Brits, skeleton, have a very good experience at the Olympic Games. So the focus will be on growing that success that has already started this season into this new quad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Into 4. Yeah, you can see her both skating up and down the curve, which unfortunately she's going to be losing some velocity there, plus the bump into corner 5. Sometimes that makes a bit of a scorpion of the athlete, but she is able to keep runners down. This is really tricky. Having so much height, you drop up and you get one last, and bump on the wall.
Yeah, so... And when you're looking at, she's back 1300ths there, and when you see those sort of skids, you're just scrubbing away that time when there's such fine margins. Lee Yuxi now, a decent run in the first half, in the first heat rather, a 5:77 start, so she's going to be looking to go a little quicker here and see if she can gain spots on her compatriot who comes next.
She's coached by Dirk Matchins. This is a new coaching setup for them this year. She's on his kit as well. So a big learning curve coming off of the home Olympics.
That's it, and the 5:78 getaway, so a 100th drop, which is not so much as we've seen from the others, so somewhat maintaining her start there. And a couple of corrections early on.
Similar struggle she had, that 4-5 and into 4, a little bit of struggle.
That's it, and we're still seeing the top speeds at the moment belong to Jaclyn Narracott, so, and there's the red numbers, so we're just going to see her potentially bleeding away here.
Controlling the pressures in Kreisel quite well. A little bit of a tap, I think, on the sliders right there. She heads into 11 and 12.
Well, the #1 speed, so will she start bringing this back a little? If she holds it, it's come back a little, 1700s to 11. This is going to go to the line.
It'll be right at the line, I think. We'll see who can stay ahead.
Dead heat, there we go. And again, I find this insane when you're sliding over a mile of ice. The fact that people are literally neck and neck at the line is just, it's extraordinary.
200th of a second as well. So it's not even just like the length, it's also the margins are quite small for these people to be tying.
And that's it, and that's where you see, like, where we're seeing a few too many toe corrections, a few too many bumps and slides and skids, especially in the uphill sections as well. You just cannot give anything away when, you can end up being in a dead heat.
Definitely. A little bit of skidding happening there. But sometimes on a looser setup, you can be quite fast.
Absolutely. So a happy lead there. So next up, Zhao Dan, who will not be wanting to drop behind her compatriot. As you said, also coached by Dirk Matchins, new sleds, a new way of working, and we have seen some improved starts from these guys. So let's see if Zhao can hang on to her lead.
She's a young athlete. She's competed at the Youth Olympic Games. See her loading onto sled really nicely there. A little bit slower than her first heat, 400 slower.
And as you said or the fact I stole from you, Zhao was a flag bearer for the 2022 Olympic Games. So someone who's not only had a chance to be a part of the pageantry and the pomp and ceremony of an Olympics as a spectator and got to be inspired by all that, she's now competing against the people that were there as Olympic competitors.
Definitely, and what a great thing to have your home Olympics as your first Olympic experience. Well, second, I guess, because she did do the Youth Olympic Games.
Definitely, and that's got to whet the appetite for wanting to improve. Now she's got 4th fastest speed. She's just dropping back. We might start seeing red numbers now. And there it is.
She's got to be perfect here to try to bring it back, but I think she might be bleeding just a little bit too much speed.
Yeah, fourth fastest speed. This is going to be back at the line. Is Jaclyn Narracott gaining another? No, 200ths ahead. So she found something in the bottom corners.
Dirk taught them the German shortcut at the bottom of the track.
There it is, the German super boosters at the bottom. You can never count them out. So Zhao Dan retains her spot. And it's always nice when, no matter how well you get on, getting one over on your teammate is always a great place to be.
Certainly. Big wave to the camera. She's a young athlete, so I think in 4 years she's going to be a real force to reckon with, especially with Dirk coming in as their coaching setup. Between that and the new equipment should be really interesting.
Definitely, and again, as we've said before, with Altenberg being such a technical track, so tricky, and comparatively, you don't get that many runs to master it, right? And it's, you know, when you're being given such a short time to master something that is as difficult as the Altenberg track, it's pretty remarkable getting any result, and certainly deep into the top 20 is a nice place to be. Jane Channell up next from Canada, so we're going to see a big start here from Jane. She's always one of the outstanding star athletes. She's always knocking on the door of either top 10s, top 6s and stuff, so she's a little further back than she'd like to be.
Definitely, and she's on a new sled this year. She's fully committed to the Schneider sled. Oh, big pull out.
Yeah, big correction. And a 551 getaway.
Yeah, a few hundred slower than her first. Could be from a bit of that pull. Sometimes when the athlete isn't fully settled on their sled, not only do the grooves pull, but then also you can be kind of steering unintentionally.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Similarly to bobsled, if you don't have the hands on the D-rings, it could potentially pull in a way that you're not expecting.
Yeah, we don't like knowing about the pilot not getting his hands on the D-rings.
Into 11 and 12, she's holding on to 7/10 ahead. It's a bit of a wild run. I don't know if she's going to be super pleased with it.
Oh, and a little drop off there. But she will have more than enough in the tank.
Yeah.
5,800 is almost 6/10 in the bank at the line. And will retain her spot.
Nearly the second faster than her first heat too. So, although she had room to clean up, good thing you're here for another week and just can refine those and move up the ranks.
Well, again, and that's the great thing about doing, 2 weeks in a play. We tend to joke and, well, some joke, some are kind of mean it. 2 weeks in Altenberg's not always a great place to be, but when you've got, well, not for Jane, but for, European Championships next week and, 2 weeks on the bounce at a difficult track, it does give you that second bite at the apple to improve upon what you did before.
Definitely. You can see a little bit of skidding happening. Her toes are coming out. All things to improve on for, next week.
Next up, we have Alessandra Fumagalli. So, again, somebody who's really staken a claim here has had a good run. She's only had a couple of World Cups in her under her belt, a best finish of 17th. So, if she hangs on to her spot here, this will be a best ever finish. So, let's see what Alessandra has got in the start, and let's see how she brings it down.
She's a quite quick starter. She did a 52 in the first heat. Let's see what she can put down here.
A 46, look at that. So a sub 5.5. So again, we're seeing, with the exception of Valentina, who we hope is all okay with her 5. Oh, no, that's not what we want.
A little bit just unsettled on the sled, but boy, she had a good start there, good improvement.
Well, that'll be what she's carrying velocity she's not used to, because that was a huge start.
Definitely.
But that's just going to scrub her speed. Oh, yeah.
She's just a little bit off her line. Sometimes you get that first hit and it can really kind of mess up the feeling.
She's dropping to third ranked now, down to 6th. Can she hold on to this? Go on, Alessandra.
Just got to bring it back here at the bottom of the track. Find the German shortcut.
That's it. So she's the better part of a second down now. And through the line, she's gonna drop spots. She's not going to be happy with that. She had a chance for a best ever finish there, but still there were absolute signs of life there from Alessandra. Don't be too despondent. That was a unbelievable start. So she's showing herself as an athletic caliber is definitely good enough to be in this field. Just some points to work on in the drive.
Certainly, and again, they're going to have a home Olympics in 4 years or less than, I guess, 3 years now, and that's what these girls are going to be working for. In corner 2, it's a little bit tricky because it's almost that she drove herself into that wall. Just a little bit extra pressure off of 2.
And that's just like putting the brakes on, right? That's just going to, you know, and so at least it's something she can look at and say, that's a clear reason why I dropped. And, you know, it's a much better place to be seeing that where you can improve rather than scratching your head thinking, why do I have no speed?
Definitely.
Kendall Wesenberg now. In a start in the first heat of a 5.86. She's going to be looking to go better than that. And certainly she's going to be looking to hold on to her spot and maybe even make a push for the top 10.
She's definitely been struggling with those injuries, so start is not her strong point, but she is a phenomenal driver.
Absolutely, and she's only dropped 100th there, so an 86 in the first heat, 87 getaway here. Stay away from that.
You can see we call that a banana. So when the athlete kind of bananas their body on the sled, trying to steer it and just bring it over to where they want it to go.
Okay, and is that like a panic stations move, or is that just that's just the way you got to get it right?
It just changes the pressure a little bit on the sled, and it's a little bit a less aggressive steering that you can do to ease it back to where you want it.
This is good. And you know what? Kendall's doing well here. She apparently, on her Spotify Wrapped, her #1 song is Get Jiggy With It by Will Smith. So I feel like this is she should have had that playing before this heat.
Yeah, I heard that too. Coming into the finish line here, not as quick as she would like, dropping quite a few places.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not where she wants to be. Nice for Jane Channell, who will retain her spot, but Kendall, back to the drawing board there, and you've got another week here, so don't worry too much.
Throwing her hands up, not quite sure where all the speed went there. Tuffy Latour at the bottom of the track, getting her sled. Coming off here into the straightaway before Kreisel. You can see her toes just tap it behind her to make sure she gets that entry that she wants into Kreisel. Coming off of 14, just stays on it a little bit too long, but has a nice crossover that uphill section.
Definitely. What I love about Kendall, she's got such a great attitude to racing, and she knows this track's tricky. She loves the thrill of the race here, and I think she'll be absolutely itching to fix that for next week. So next up, our debutante, who's going to be hoping for a top 10 here. She's not far outside, only a few hundreds, and she has the start. So will we see the World Push Champion here lower this push time? She'll have seen what Valentina did in the first heat, start-wise, and will be wanting to have a piece of that, I'm sure.
Definitely. And to be dipping at the top 10 in your first World Cup on a German track as a North American is awesome.
Yeah, unbelievable. So a 5:48 getaway. So just 100th back on that one, which actually shows the quality of Alessandra's push, having a 46 out pushing the World Push Champion. Oh, and she's done the same as Alessandra.
You could see her trying to fight it a little bit. Oh, this is really high, but saves it in that second pressure.
Well, and this is just experience, right? You know, you've come to your debuts at Altenberg where, you know, mistakes are going to happen on such a technical track. And just a little out of control and a skid into Kreisel.
It's really tricky.
She's going to push her up.
Skid going in. Oh, she saves it, takes that tap on the right side.
She's going to get down here, but that's going to scrub so much time from her.
Unfortunately, she's just bleeding time, similarly to her teammate that just came down before her.
But again, Mystique's going to be dropping down. So, yeah, 9th at the line, 10th at the line. Yeah, so dropping back to 19th there as it stands. Plenty to work on. Look, it's your debut. You've had 2 great starts, underlining your athletic ability. A little bit of a sore arm, maybe.
Yeah.
Again, plenty to work on. It's all good.
And they've got a new coaching staff in the American program with Matt Antoine taking on that head coach position. As she comes into the big straightaway, she just has a little bit too much pressure pulling to that right side. Sometimes you want to take a tap